now we get to talk about Blizzard of Ozz by Ozzy Osbourne, his first solo album. Instead of putting this in an Ozzy Osbourne playlist or saying Ozzy Osbourne album, I'm going to say Blizzard of Ozz because if you did not know, the original name for the band was Blizzard of Ozz. And it's supposed to be Blizzard of Ozz, the band and title of the album, and then they were throwing on Ozzy Osbourne's name to gain some more credibility and stuff. However, they fucked up and made the Ozzy Osbourne bigger than Blizzard of Ozz. So from that point on, it became all Ozzy Osbourne album. And this is begin the horrible curse and plague upon the Masters of Reality known as Sharon Osbourne, but Sharon Arden at the time. Now, after Ozzy was kicked out of Black Sabbath, he was very washed up, fucked up on drugs, and pretty much killing himself. But then Sharon Arden's dad, whose name I can't remember at the moment, who was the manager of Black Sabbath, I believe, sent Sharon to pretty much get Ozzy cleaned up and manage him and get him some great musicians. There was a couple lineup changes until they finally got Bob Daisley on bass, who was from earlier Rainbow albums, who claims he wrote a lot of the lyrics and music, but that's still disputed to this very day. And E.T. also helped Bob Daisley out. And after some drummer changes, they finally got Lee Kierslick on drum, who also claimed that Sharon didn't like the fact that he, Bob Daisley, and Randy Rhoads had wrote a lot of stuff, so apparently he's wrote a lot of stuff that he didn't get credit for. But there's only one song on the album he does have an actual writing credit for. And then the classical and Eddie Van Halen trained guitarist known as Randy Rhoads, who I extremely underestimated at first. This guy is really one of the greatest guitarists ever. And just try to learn one of his songs and you'll break your brain. It has incredible flow and classical sounding riffs and soloing. And apparently every time when they went on tour, when they had free time, Randy Rhoads would seek a classical guitar teacher nearby. And you'd think that because Randy Rhoads was very famous at this time, he used to be in Quiet Riot, and apparently a lot of the songs in this album were written back when he was in Quiet Riot. But he was famous at this time. He was hot shit, and I could see, like, pretty much most of the classical guitar teachers, when he'd go to them, they'd be like, well, why don't you teach me something? So they had an absolutely perfect line, because Bob Daisley was a great writer and great bass player. Lee Kierslick was a great drummer, and Randy Rhoads was a fucking incredible guitarist. But like I said, there's a lot of disputes of who wrote what, who did what, and Sharon even fucking went back and deleted the bass and drum tracks from this album and Diary of a Madman, and replaced them with some other drummer and Rob Trujillo, who's now currently in Metallica. Thank God they went back and got the originals and re-released it again. And Bob Daisley claimed that pretty much him and Randy would write most of the music, and then Ozzy would fuck around and think of melodies and song titles and some lyrics. But it's pretty much up to interpretation who wrote what, because there's just so much disputing. But I'll try to pick out what I think each person wrote, so it's less confusing. So let's get into the first song, known as I Don't Know. Now, this is kind of a running joke with me and my brother, because he always pisses me off, because whenever I have a question that he knows, he always just says, I don't know, I don't know. So whenever I just fuck with him sometimes, I go up to him and I'm listening to a song, I'm like, hey Jake, what song is this? And he says, I don't know. I'm like, exactly. This one kind of begins with a slow, quiet build-up, and then you have this awesome whammy bar dive bomb sort of thing. The riff is very simple, but it gets really cool in the intro when you hear Bob Daisley pluck the bass strings in there. I was not a huge fan of the song at first, but it's really, really, really grown on me. It's such a classic song. It's very, very catchy. It started the tradition of having classic, badass, heavy metal opening tracks that Ozzy would continue to do until his shit fest to the 1990s. The bass playing and drumming is incredible on this album because the rhythm section, it's two complete badasses working together fluently, and it really feels like the lineup is pretty much, aside from Sharon fucking with everything, it sounds like if she was not involved, this band would have gone on forever because they have perfect chemistry. And Ozzy's vocal melodies are very, very fluent through the song. And the guitar solo is shredding and badass. Every single solo Randy does is memorable and completely like classical and Eddie Van Halen at the same time. It's like nothing we'd heard before. The song's a 5 out of 5 classic ass song. Then we get to Crazy Train. Yeah. 5 out of 5. Then we get to Goodbye to Romance, which is one of the first Ozzy ballads. Now, I will begin to hate the fuck out of Ozzy ballads later down the road, but this one actually works, and it's the first one. Now, here's a big dispute, because Bob Daisley claims he wrote the lyrics to this song about some sort of breakup, I think, but then Ozzy claims he wrote the lyrics about how he left Black Sabbath. It makes sense for him to write a song about him leaving Black Sabbath. Then why is it called Goodbye to Romance? I don't know, it makes sense either way. But I will tell you that the riffs of the song, like the actual music, was definitely written by Randy Rhoads. Because there's clips of him playing this song back when he was in Quiet Riot. This song's another 5 out of 5. It's an absolute classic. Although I will say, one of the bonus tracks of this, which does not have the drums or bass, just the melodic guitar and Ozzy singing, is probably equally good, believe it or not. I don't know which I prefer. Sometimes I like the driving, cool rhythm to it. However, I do like the more mellow sadness to the just guitar and vocal verse. They're both equally good, so check them both out. Then we get to a little classical piece from Randy called D, just D-E-E. I believe he also wrote this during Quiet Riot's time. And there's also some studio outtakes on the tribute live album thing, where Randy keeps fucking the song up over and over because he was nervous. You just hear him say, ding, ding, fuck, every time when he messes up. Yeah, it's really short and really sweet, although I wish they had fused it with the song I'm going to talk about later, because it would have made a lot more sense, because there's even a dive bomb at the end of that goes into the classic song. I believe D is about his mother, D or something, but I don't know. Then we get into Controversy, Suicide Solution. Now, Kid apparently killed himself during this time after the album came out. On the turntable was the album Blizzard of Oz on the end of the first side, which is this song. So there was a huge lawsuit about how there was like subliminal messages and shit, and that he was telling the kid to kill himself. The thing is, this song is not about killing yourself. Sort of. It's more of a metaphor about drinking yourself to death. Now, Bob Daisley claims he wrote the song about Ozzy, how Ozzy was all fucked up and doing drugs and drinking himself to death. However, Ozzy claims he wrote the lyrics about Bon Scott, who had actually drunk himself to death. So because it makes more sense with Ozzy, I'm going to say he wrote the lyrics. However, I highly believe that Randy and Bob Daisley especially were highly involved with writing the music. It has a very, very grooving riff to it, and a very driving rhythm that seems like it'd be written by a bass player. But yeah, it comes in with that awesome dive bomb, and the riff is badass. And believe it or not, I didn't get the song at first. I mostly just kind of liked it because the controversy behind it, I guess. But man, this song has really kick-ass riffs and a driving-ass rhythm. And the lyrics are very, very memorable and catchy. And I love the weird way Ozzy sings on there, and I love the part where he says, "Hell on this earth." The chorus sounds very dark, and it has this weird riff to it. And I love the weird type of sad way he sings the chorus. The guitar solo is badass as fuck, and it really tops off this perfect, like, mountainous ice cream. This song is a 5 out of 5, perfect song. Then we get to Mr. Crowley. This is easily not only one of the best Ozzy songs, or Blizzard of Oz songs, but this is one of the best metal songs. And the lyrics of the song are about the Satanist slash weird cultist. He wasn't really a Satanist, he was more like a weird cultist that believed in like magic, and like every religion has like certain specific, and it's fucking weird. He just had like this weird cult. You guys should read up on him. He's really bizarre. And he was like bisexual or whatever, and he believed in like having sex with everything. He's a fucking weird guy. And I believe I've already stated that Jimmy Page, who thou should go fuck himself, had actually bought the mansion that Mr. Crowley used to live at. But enough with the history, let's go into this awesome song, which starts with a synthesizer intro, which loops twice, has an organ and synthesizer thing, sort of creating like this classical, dark, almost Transylvania-esque atmosphere. You hear this almost like falling down effect, which is one of my favorite parts of the song. That's what really got me into the song, was that creepy falling down and the drop-off sound that the keyboards do. When Ozzy says Mr. Crowley, the song just goes right into it. The lyrics are very depressing and sad. Well, funnily enough, my dad hates this song because he thinks it's like promoting Mr. Crowley, but it's not at all. It's actually saying like, oh, what went wrong in your head? What have you done? And all this stuff. Like, it's pretty much like de-glorifying him, if anything. There's two incredibly legendary and classic guitar solos in there, and one of them is considered one of the greatest guitar solos of all time, which is the second one. Although, believe it or not, I actually like the Jakey Lee live guitar better of this song. Like, I like the live version better in 1986 than that Jakey Lee, because I think Jakey Lee did the last solo better than Randy Rhoads did. He messed it up a little bit in like a good way. He mixed it up and changed some parts in there and made it sound a lot better. But as much as I love this song, like the dark and crazy melodic vibe to it. I don't like the fact that it like bleeds out or fades out at the end. I wish you could hear it better. However, this song's a 5 out of 5 incredible Ozzy song. I'm not really sure who wrote it either. Probably Randy, because there's a lot of classical type of variations in there. Then we get to easily my least favorite song on the album, and I believe this wasn't even supposed to be on here. It was supposed to be Hey, looking at you, looking at me, or you looking at me, looking at you. It was supposed to be in place of this song, but they wanted at least one song with a Lyric Here's Look writing credit. But this song is a absolute B-side. It sounds so much like a B-side. It's painful. It has this weird like country rockin' sort of vibe to it. It sounds really grainy and shitty. And it's pretty much about porn. It's kind of grown on me. It's a very weird song. It's kind of weak. Although it's not horrible or bad or anything. Although I do really hate the part when Ozzy keeps saying no, no, no bone movies at the end over and over. It's still the way he sings it. It's incredibly annoying and I hate that. This song's a 3 out of 5. Then we get to the epic Revelation Mother Earth, who I am damn sure Randy wrote this entire song. Although I'm not sure who did the lyrics, because I believe Ozzy and Daisley claim they wrote the lyrics, so I don't know. But the song is about the environment going to shit and global warming and stuff. And it's actually really cool. I love the metaphors in there. It's like Mother Earth, don't let her father die. There's a lot of incredibly like medieval sounding classical guitar parts to it. And I love it when the heavy guitars come in and they sound really badass, and the melody is incredibly original, and I love the weird synthesized voices in there too. And then this awesome fucking riff comes in that sounds like a weird backwards riff that is actually repeated in a Black Sabbath song later down the road known as Master of Insanity. It's like the exact same riff. I'll show a comparison. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I just love the different parts of the song. I love it when it gets soft in the middle, and you have like a piano solo from, I believe, Randy, because I think he played the piano. At least I hope, so I don't look like a dumbass. And the guitar solo kicks absolute ass, and it just perfects this dark and beautiful atmosphere. It really collides both the dark and beautiness in this song, and it sounds really great, and they just go back and forth all the time from the heavy to the light. Great fucking song and incredible execution. 5 out of 5. Then we get to the ending track, Steal Away the Night, which is a nice rockin' song and all, but they could have done better. It sounds sort of like No Bone Movies, but it's a lot more catchy and could have been a good single. And could have been a good single as well. It's that nice, catchy, sort of to the point vibe, but there's not much to it though. It's just a nice, hard rockin' song. So I give this one a 4 out of 5. And I love the cool, like, guitar slides that Randy does after the chorus. Then we get to some bonus tracks which I want to talk about, which is You Looking at Me, Looking at You, which should have been on the album instead of fucking No Bone Movies, because this song is awesome. Perfectly mixes the great, heavy, intricate writing from Randy Rhoads with the great catchiness that they do on some of the songs, like Steal Away the Night or Crazy Train. Perfectly mixes it. You hear this cool sounding intro, and then it goes to that really badass driving riff, which I believe Bob Daisley or Lee Kirslick must have had something to do with. That's too much of a driving riff for me to believe that it was just Randy, so I believe it was a group effort for this one. And I love the bridge, and the chorus is really catchy as well. This song could have been an easy single and would have charted pretty well, in my opinion. There's a lot of great solo fills from Randy Rhoads, and the solo in this is very long and very, very, very kick-ass and extremely well executed song. I just love that verse riff, that driving, grooving bass riff. So 5 out of 5. And I also want to talk about a little piece that I believe should have been fused with D, like put at the very end of D, which is called RR, which I believe stands for Randy Rhoads, or if you're retarded, it's Re, like D. I've actually edited the album myself for my own listening to where this goes to the end of D, and it actually makes a lot of sense. It's just Randy Rhoads fucking around the guitar. He plays these really kick-ass driving riffs, and he does these incredible classical soloing techniques, and you hear this like weird piece that I forget the name of, but it's like he plays a little bit of that, and then he just goes absolutely ape shit in like the lower registers of this guitar. And what makes it even make more sense with my theory that it should have been at the end of D is that there's this like dive bomb at the end of it. That sounds exactly like the dive bomb at the beginning of Suicide Solution, which is the next song. So if they fused this would have been like a 4.5 out of 5 song, because it's just so kick-ass. Maybe even a 5, because this song, RR, is almost like his Eruption. Probably a 5 I'd give this song, because it's just so fucking kick-ass. So I'm going to give this album, this classic album, which has grown on me quite a bit, a 9.2 out of 10.